What's up, YouTube? It's the Action Figure Grader coming back to you with a Vintage Kenner Star Wars market update. And we've got a number of items that closed out this weekend. And just based on what was out there in terms of inventory, most of the interesting items that I wanted to talk about are loose graded figures, both UKG and AFA graded. And we've got everything from early figures all the way to foreign variants, including Spanish PBP and Poc and a Lili Ledy. And I am going to finish it off with a graded mint-on card that I am calling Horse Patooey on. There is no way that this final price was legitimate, but maybe I'm wrong. We'll see. Also, before I begin, I want to say thank you to my latest Patreon subscriber, Patreon supporter, and that's Rodney Webster down in Australia. He just signed up to become a supporter of the channel, so I want to say thank you, Rodney, for joining up. It means a lot to me, and I appreciate all my Patreon supporters. Let's go ahead and dig right in with some really awesome items. This one closed yesterday. This was a UKG graded Blue Snags. And this one had the toe dent, as you can see on his lower right leg there. It's got that little toe dent on there. Some minor scuffing here and there, but it was graded 80% by UKG, as you can see there. And it sold for a big number, 907 in US dollars, or 660 Great British pounds plus shipping, 23 bids. So that's about right, honestly. I mean, just given where I see these sell, and it was by no means perfect. As you can see, it's got some overspray around the boots, which my example has the same issue, and some light scuffs here and there. But really, overall, it was just a fantastic example. The torso is not discolored at all. Even the silver belt buckle is largely in great shape there. So really nice example, and it sold for a big number. Here is the Lili Ledy I wanted to talk about. This is an awesome one. And it's always been known to be fairly expensive, but this is the removable hood, made in Mexico, Lili Ledy Jawa. And he is packed in with that Nien Nunb kind of TIE Fighter blaster that is a very specific mold made down in the Lili Ledy factory. I think it's got an L stamp on that blaster. But as you can see, that hood is separate. It's a whole separate hood that pops off of his head. These were only made in the Lili Ledy factory, to my knowledge. Now, Lili Ledy also did have a non-removable hood, Jawa, that is very expensive. I mean, it goes for insane numbers. There's not many examples of them out there. I've seen one mint-on card example and a few graded examples, but you're talking big money. I mean, many multiples of what this one sold for. This one sold for $1,600 plus $20 shipping. So, and it was graded 85 by Collector Archive Services. Yeah, there it is. Nien Nunb L blaster. So it's got a little L stamp on that little Nien Nunb blaster. And that's what the Jawa was packed with. So very cool item. One of the, top 5, I'd say, in terms of the Lili Ledy figures. Very desirable figure. Now, here's one that I want to talk a little bit more about. Now, this was the PBP Scarred COO Pink Face Cloud Car Palette. And as you can see, he's got a very pink face there. There is also a pale face PBP that is much more expensive and much more desirable. I've seen ungraded examples approach $2,000 in the Echo Base Vintage Variants group. And if you look at the back of the leg here, let's see if I can get a good close-up here. You can see on his right leg there, it's got a whole scar where the PBPs were known to have that kind of scar COO, where the original Hong Kong, I suppose, was scarred out, and that's no exception. So the figure is 100% Lili Ledy, or excuse me, PBP. But the question I have is whether these accessories are correct or not. And my gut says that based on this sales price, the sales price was $737 and change, or 536 pounds. I think based on this sales price and the fact that it's graded 80% by UKG, I'm willing to wager that these accessories are incorrect. The PBP Cloud Car palette came with very, very dark gray communicator and blaster, and these do not look like the dark gray ones to me. And it's a common problem with these Spanish figures, and I'm not picking on UKG here. All 3 grading companies have been guilty of this in the past, but where they put, Hong Kong accessories with these Spanish figures. Now, the Spanish PBP factory, by the time that the PBP factory was in full swing, they were manufacturing their own accessories. And so it's a very specific mold that goes with the Cloud Car palette for those accessories. So I'm willing to wager that based on these photos, that these are not PBP accessories. And I think that the market largely agreed with me on that, because ungraded examples like this can go for, I'd say 30 to 40% more pretty easily. So Just my personal opinion on this. I have nothing to base it on because the photos are not clear. I mean, it looks like light gray accessories, but without really getting a good, a good read from some of the experts out there, I couldn't tell you. I mean, it very well could be the correct accessories. I just have no way to verify that. But in this photo that I'm zooming in on, the accessories do look darker, and in this one they look lighter. So who knows if they're the correct accessories or not? But I think that based on that sales price, they probably were not. But again, I could be wrong. Here's another nice one. This was a tri-logo Boba Fett painted knee, unpainted dart. So you can see there it's got the shin that's painted with the shin tools there on his right leg, and then the dart on his left arm is unpainted. And they come with all different combinations: unpainted, unpainted, painted, painted. And so there's like 4 or 5 different examples, including a bi-tone belt where the belt color doesn't match between his torso and the hips. So this one sold for $453. It was a UKG 80%. Really nice example, and another very desirable Fett that's out there. Here's another Fett while we're on the subject of him. This is a Taiwan Fett, so he was found within the droids. The Taiwan COO was found within the droids card backs. We all know how expensive that droids Boba Fett is. It can go for 5 figures in really high grade. So this one is the correct Boba Fett with the correct black blaster, the Taiwan version, and it also includes the droid's coin for Boba Fett. So that was graded 85. The figure was 85. So this is a very, very highly desirable item, and this one sold for big money, $911. This same seller also had similarly encased last 17 figures that we're going to go over towards the end. He got some really big prices for those last 17 figures that were also at auction, as you'd expect, given that last 17 prices have just skyrocketed over the last year or so. Here's another interesting one that sold over in the UK. This was a UKG 75 grade Stormtrooper, but what makes it interesting is it had an incorrect arm there. It had 2 right arms on the figure, so you can see there the arms were incorrect. It's hard to see in that picture, but maybe we can get another angle here that will give you a better example of what I'm talking about. There you go. You can kind of see here. Oops. You can see right here that he's got the arms backwards on that left arm there. So left arm in terms of from this angle. So anyway, just an interesting factory error, and it sold for a lot more money than I expected. I mean, it was only a 75 grade, but I think because it was an error figure that it's pretty desirable to find those error figures. So it sold for $203. I have no other data to base, whether that was a fair price or not, but it's a really cool figure. And I think there's a subset of people that really like error figures. And I think that's a cool one to add to the collection. Another PBP Spanish figure. This was AFA graded. This was 80+ grade Chewbacca. And this one sold for best offer accepted at $165. 80+, and I think that it probably sold for around 150 because that's about the going rate for a 80 to 85 grade PBP Chewbacca. They seem to go about 150 or so, maybe a little higher depending on the grade, but another nice Spanish example there. Another one that's pretty rare here, this is the Spanish Poc Obi-Wan, and you can kind of really tell that this is the Spanish figure because it's got some kind of discoloration to the limbs like we talked about in the last video with that Hoth Rebel Commander and how it had modeling. This one doesn't have modeling, but it's just kind of a really dark limbs there that have kind of discolored over time. It was still graded 80%, which might be a little bit generous given all the flaking around his black vest chest area, but and he's got some chipping around the hands as well. But these early Spanish figures, the paint on those just degrades so easily. So that one sold for $320 or 233 pounds. So gives you a data point there for an early Spanish Kenobi, but a beautiful figure. That same seller also had some Polish bootlegs. I only pull out a couple of them because I know the bootleg demand from my viewers is pretty slim, but I did want to show a few of them. This was a 3rd generation AT-AT driver. Nice color combination with black, black accents to the helmet as well as dark gray. But yeah, it was labeled correctly. It was a Generation 3 circa 1994. That's perfectly labeled by UKG. Overall 85%, so a really nice example. And it's not particularly hard for the most part to find 3rd generation examples of these Polish bootlegs in good condition, just because they came out so much later than the first generation ones in the mid 80s. But anyway, that one sold for $178 or about 130 Great British pounds. Another really nice example was this one. This one was the 3rd generation silver Hoth Stormtrooper, and it actually included the bootleg weapon, as you can see here. So that's a really nice example. It was also graded 90% by UKG, so a very, very mint example. And that sold for big money, $281 or 205 Great British pounds. But what an awesome example to have that weapon encased next to it. All right, so now let's get back to that previous seller that had the Droids coin Boba Fett with the Taiwan Fett that sold for $900 and change. He also had a number of last 17 figures that were all encased the exact same way. And man, he got some good prices. And we're starting low and going higher. But here's the Ramba. It was graded 85 for the figure and then 80 for the coin. That one sold for $208. And then next he had Warwick, which was 80 plus grade for the figure and the coin. Really nice example there. That one sold for $332 plus shipping. And then we start, the prices start escalating from there. This one was an 80 plus Lando General, last 17, along with an AFA 80 for the coin. That one sold for $400. So you're almost getting near mint on card prices for that example of Lando. Amanaman, this was an AFA 85 for the figure and an 80 for the coin. Awesome item. Amanaman's really taken off in price. I mean, ungraded 300 to 350 all day long, but this one sold for $456, so another big number. The Imperial Gunner, we all talked about him at length and how the prices on him have really jumped up. This one was an AFA 80 plus figure score, and then an 85 for the coin. That one sold for $501 plus shipping on 32 bids. And then Han Solo Carbonite, another big number. This one was an AFA 85 grade for the figure, and then an 80 plus for the coin. And that one sold for $538 and change. So another really big number for our last 17 Han. And then we start really getting up there. This is the EV99. He was graded 85, and the coin was an 80. I don't understand why AFA puts the brackets for EV99's legs so tight. I mean, you can see that the casing on this AFA figure, everything looks good until you get to that bottom leg. It's like they don't adjust for the fact that, the figure needs a little bit of room to breathe for those legs. And EV99 is a pretty fragile figure as it is. I mean, you'll see so many arms snapped off or legs snapped off and, broken figures for sale in the groups on Facebook. And I don't know, I think that this case was just a little bit too tight, and they need to adjust their brackets or something on that leg. I mean, it's really bending that foot in. I don't know. I mean, here's a good example right here. I mean, you can see how much he bends that leg in, and it just seems like unnecessary stress on the figure just due to the AFA case. So I think they need to work on that. But anyway, $561 was the final sales price on that one. And then finally, the big boy, Luke Stormtrooper, he was graded AFA 80 and then an 85 coin, so a nice example there. The winning bid was $580. I have nothing to base this on other than my intuition, but I'm guessing that if that Luke Stormtrooper had been graded AFA 85 to match the coin that was AFA 85, I bet this would have approached $1,000 very, very easily. So, but anyway, $580 for an AFA 80 Luke plus the coin. Really nice example there, and probably about right for what the market's done. Finally, I want to finish off on this one. I just have a real problem believing that this number is real. This one was an AFA 85 Obi-Wan on the 21 back transition card ESB. So it's got, I'm sorry, it's not even the 21 back. This is the 41 back. So it's even more ridiculous. If you look here, it's the 41A back survival kit offer. It's an AFA 85, admittedly, but this is a later ESB card bag. I thought it was a 21 bag. It's even more ridiculous. But anyway, AFA 85, and it sold for $3,950. Give me a break. There is no way that is legitimate. No way. I mean, that's probably more than double what the market value is for that figure. I mean, again, I know it's unpunched and it's an 85 grade and it's got a beautiful clear blister with awesome subgrades. It looks like it was 85, 85, 85 for the subscores. I'm sorry, I don't buy it. I think that this was a shill bidding or something else was going on. The other thing that what made me really question whether this was legit, he was saying that once this auction ends, do not send payment. If you send payment before we contact you, your payment will be refunded. After this auction has ended, we will contact you to provide your PayPal address. Then we will send you a PayPal invoice to pay for this item. I don't know what's going on there, but something is really strange with how that's all worded. And I would stay far away from anything that has that kind of description. There's just something very strange about it. But now, could this be a legitimate sale? Yes, but I don't buy it. It's way too high. It was either shill bidding or people have no idea what they're doing on price. There's no way it's worth even close to that number. So, stay frosty out there, folks, because there's a lot of weird stuff that goes on eBay, and just don't fall for any kind of shill bidding stuff. Anyway, that's all I really had for this video. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing. Please be sure to like and comment below with any awesome pickups that you guys have had. And thank you so much for watching, and I'll be back soon.